I wake up and count my blessings. No more worries, no more stressing. With every loss there comes a lesson. Lord, all I'm asking is protection. I wake up and count my blessings.
Greetings, Massive. Translation, hello everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Conversations with me, a Random Knowbody. Now, as you can tell by the title, our conversation today is going to be centered around trans lives and why they matter, why they should matter to you, and why they matter to me. I had the pleasure of chatting it up with Miss Beau Jangless herself, and I am not going to spill the tea on what she has proclaimed herself to be. You guys have to listen to find that out. Now, this episode is a little bit longer, but it is well worth your time. And I'm asking that while you listen to this episode, that you have an open mind, that everything that you've thought that you knew about LGBTQIA plus individuals, that you just put it to the side and listen to my guest today. Through our conversation, I was able to become more understanding of certain things that I didn't understand. And I hope that you will have the same outcome as well. So again, please open your mind and just put your own thoughts and your opinions to the side and listen. Listen to what she says. Now, you have been self-proclaimed the baddest bitch in New York City. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That is absolutely correct. Oh my God. Finally, those are my actual pronouns, if anybody was wondering.
Okay. Now, again, I just want to thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking the time out, to come have this conversation with me, a random nobody. Now, I just want to give the listeners a little background on how we actually met. And it was last summer. We were on the video shoot for Sin Santana's Real Life.
Yeah.
And, when I met you, I was just like amazed, like your confidence, your demeanor, and your your kindness. And I remember one part we were about to go out on the fire escape, and I was like, let me check my hair, and you were like, shit, let me check mine too. So after that, I was following you. I've been following you since then on social media, and you are hilarious, among other things. I've noticed lately a slight change into how and what you've been posting, and that's what I really want to talk about today. But before we get into that, I just wanted you to, I introduced you as like the self-proclaimed baddest bitch in New York City.
Yep.
But is there anything else that you would add to that about who Miss Beau Jangless is?
Miss Beau Jangless is pretty much, honestly, Miss Beau Jangless is the girl that you just want to talk to, even though she might intimidate you by the way that she walked in. But trust me, she's going to say hi to you, and you're going to feel welcome wherever you are, wherever she is. One of my biggest things is to not try to make people feel as uncomfortable around me, because my biggest goal is to normalize the way that I look to others.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I'm going to walk into a room, and if you're going to be shook, you're going to be shook, but I'm going to make sure that you know that I'm not shook. I'm here because I belong here, and just as much as you. Yes. And we could share the same space without any sort of tumultuous energy. I will be coming up to you first with a smile and greeting you, and we can reciprocate whatever type of energy you give me back.
You were born and raised in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, born and raised in Puerto Rico, moved to New York when I was about 10 or 11 fully, but I would come every summer to visit my parents. I was with my grandmother that was like obsessed with me as a baby. She was like, "You're not having this one. I'm keeping this one over here." And cause she was there for my birth and everything. And they're like, all my siblings were born in New York, and I was the only one born over there. So she was like kind of like attached, because my whole family is pretty much over there. So she was attached to me. So I came to New York when I was 11, and I've been here ever since.
So growing up in Puerto Rico, how was that for you?
Looking back at it, I really just, first of all, appreciate it so much, because now I know Spanish, and I have such an attachment to like my culture, and I can really just say that I've lived two different lives. Even though I was a child, I was still very like aware of my surroundings and aware of who I was. gender wise or
Okay.
sexuality, not sexuality based, because the sexuality thing is always just a weird question when you ask a kid, because you're asking a little 8-year-old, are you gay? Because they like to play with Barbie dolls and stuff. They're like, well, I don't know what you're asking me, but if you are asking me that I want to play with this Barbie doll, yes, I do. But when I was living in Puerto Rico, there was these two trans women who are now dead, rest in peace, that I looked up to, because they just had this confidence about them. They were always on the block, and all the guys were like, they would like say like, like shicey things to them, but if anyone were to like try them or attack them, like they will be the first ones to stand up and stand behind them and be like, you're not gonna talk to her like that. And like, I mean, they were just, it was more like, I saw how like the dynamic was between like the girls and the guys, and then how they were being treated whenever someone was trying to treat them bad or like harm them. But like I oftentimes try to think about the times where I was growing up in Puerto Rico and seeing how men would react to me, or like, because I wasn't always just like, I was always like flamboyant. I wasn't just like, my bad bitch radar was, my bad bitchness was still on level 2, level 3.
Okay.
She wasn't on level 69 right now.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
but it was still like, I was still given like hype, like I was very like feminine looking. I always like a crop top on or something, and the guys were
Okay.
like, so. But yeah, I mean,
Wow.
growing up in both places just kind of
Yeah.
gave me this grand perspective, and that I cherish and value to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as family wise, how was it? Who did you grow up with in the home?
I grew up with basically my whole family, and
Okay.
it was more like, I was actually telling the story the other day. I have a cousin. Me and my two cousins were born at the same time, so we were all like either 2 weeks apart, and the other one was like a month and a half apart, and we all went to school together. And like everybody would like the kids would like look at me like weird, because I was very feminine. I was like very like very dainty or whatever. And I would write with like little like, when you dot your I with a circle, like a little bubble, like that was that person. And they were like, why is he like that? And then my cousin, his name is Chino, so he's a cis man. He would literally threaten everybody's life, and like no one would ever fuck with me ever.
That's what's up.
And like I've always had that kind of protection from my family since forever.
Wow.
Literally from all of them.
I think that is so important for young people, as a whole, to have that support from your family. Now, I remember watching Pose on Netflix, right? And I know that sometimes when things get to Hollywood, it switches, or they don't add certain things and they leave out certain things, and it just isn't what it is, right? So as far as Pose, like when I watched it, my mom told me about it, and I'm like, Mommy, I'll watch it. But when I came around to it, I fell in love with it, and I learned a lot from it. I think I learned a lot, and it opened my eyes to that whole ballroom culture that I didn't even know existed. So do you feel like Pose was a good representation of the LGBTQIA plus community, and just a show in general?
I honestly do, and I know a lot of people have mixed beliefs in this, but like I feel like there's just so much history and so many different stories to be told, that I feel that like Pose includes a more variation of like, the really, really bad stories as sad stories, the part like that, how some of them struggle, how some of them actually find love, how some of them have to like put themselves through a lot of like harm's way by doing sex work, and like just trying to survive, period, as like women and trans women in this society. And like I feel like that's a story that is important to be told, but I feel like that's a story that's also constantly sort of told, like the bad story, like the struggle story, like no one really hears about like the one that actually got married, and she has her house, and she's living her best life, and she's in yachts, and just being gorgeous and fabulous. Like people want to hear like the struggle stories, which are important to say, because I always say that everyone has a different story. Like every single person in the LGBTQIA plus ABCDFG.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I know. That's messy. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
Right.
No, but it's just like, but no, that's a joke. But I just feel like we all have so many different stories, and like we all can relate to like the struggle too, because the struggle comes originally just from being oppressed and seeing the oppression of anybody that was different. So
Right.
just seeing that on TV and it being from like demonized to glorified to like glamorized, like I
Mm-hmm.
think that's important. I think like
Mm-hmm.
that, and I think that post does have those moments where you see them be super glam and you see how they are so comfortable in their element, but then when they have to go outside at a certain time of the day, they're kind of like a little like but then there's also a lot of scenes, and I love that there's a lot of scenes in the show about trans women out in public in the daytime having like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, having a stroll and not,
Right.
you know, like not doing anything like that, like has been represented in a lot of these documentaries and a lot of these shows where like the trans woman is actually like the butt of the joke or something, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, that's not the key. Like we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like we need to show the variation of like
I love,
the whole spectrum, actually, like the whole trans
yes.
spectrum, from like people that identify as queer or like non-binary or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
fluid, like whatever you identify
Yeah.
yourself as. Like we all have stories. Like we all
Right.
have that, because we've all been oppressed in some sort of level, because we've all been seen
Exactly.
as a lesser sort of human by the patriarchy, which is like the top, you know. So like it
Yeah.
was just being looked down upon gives us a story to tell, because some of us are like some of us don't leave the house at
Mm-hmm.
any time. Like we just feel petrified. Like, you know,
Mm.
there's just so many things that like a lot of people, like I feel like Pose really just puts out there, and it's a lot, it's minor details to a lot of people, but for like
Yeah.
when I'm watching, I'm like, oh, that girl's outside, and it's what it looks like it's 1 p.m. She's outside in the, you know, on Fifth Avenue, or she's in
Mm-hmm.
Harlem. She's living her best life. She's just walking down the street, and like no one's like making a big fuss out of it. That's what I want to see, because it's like we like there's no reason for you to feel like you should not see us
Right.
at any
Exactly.
point of the day.
Right. That's true.
You
And
know?
I think that what you said is so important about the variation within the
Yeah,
community itself, because, you know, some people might look at Black people and be like, oh, because I think that, then the other Black woman thinks that, but we're not monolithic. And that, you know, is,
exactly.
and that's what I got from what you just said. Everyone's not the same, you know, and
Everyone's not the same. And
everyone's
I
story.
know that sad stories a lot sell the most, because it just makes
Yes,
you,
that
because
narrative.
like, yeah, that narrative sells so much, and I really don't understand why our people in general are just so obsessed with seeing sad stories, because I feel like
Mhm.
a lot of them feel like there's gonna be like a happy ending to it, and that's always not the reality of it either. There should be like shorter stories where you see somebody's life and how it just got taken away from them, and
Mhm.
or things like their journey into becoming who they are, because like in reality we have to be also very careful when we leave,
Yes.
when like, and know who we are with at all times, and have people that we actually trust and that really like
Mhm.
value us and like are just there for us.
Now, as far as, like you said earlier, with the, when you talk to young kids, it's hard for them to understand. You were saying like a 8-year-old may not know that they are gay, but they'll know how they feel.
Yeah, so like that's how I've always explained it, like to like my parents or like
Mm-hmm.
whoever's ever asked me like, when do you know how you were gay? I was like, well, I knew I was different when I was like 2, and I was wondering why my sister was wearing the furry shoes and I was
Mm-hmm.
wearing fucking sneakers. Like what's the tea, mom? What's going on? I don't get a little frilly sock.
Oh,
I
right,
don't get a
right,
little
right.
ruffled dress. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And then that
Mm.
those kind of feelings started to develop as I went into school, and I went to like when I was going to like third and fourth grade, and all I wanted to do was hang out with the girls, and I didn't want to be with the boys because the boys were doing like something where they had to get dirty or like sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, girls, what are we doing? You want to paint your nails? I'll do it. Like
Ah,
that's the tea. So that's how I knew I was more into that spectrum, and I was more
okay.
attracted to being that. And I would also see myself being more of very woman. Like I would think of myself, I'd be like, I'm a pretty little girl, and I would say that to myself.
Wow.
I would never say it out loud. No one's. I don't think I've ever said that out loud ever. But
Mm-hmm.
like when I was a kid, I would tell that to myself. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to do that. I'm a pretty little girl. And then I would
Wow.
just go somewhere else and I would just mind my business. But then as you progress and you get older and go through puberty, and then you're just like,
Yeah.
men are hot. Oh my
Ah!
God, can you believe? Like, shook.
Okay. Okay. So your earliest memory of knowing that you were different, what age would you say?
I
Um,
was probably, because I remember this because I've mentioned this to my mom before, because
mhm.
I I told her when I was 2, because the only reason I remember that is because I remember watching this wrestling thing, and there was
Mhm.
apparently my aunt, and
Mhm.
my aunt was a female wrestler. She would always wear like this like leopard print like onesies
Okay.
in Puerto, and she was like really like popular, I guess, at her in her
Uh-huh.
time. And my mom was like, I played you that when you were 2. I was like, well, that's exactly when I knew, because I was watching her and I was like, I want to look like that. Like, I love that.
Wow.
Like, I'm empowered by that.
I know that's
And
right.
yeah, and like, she was like, how do you remember that? I was like, I don't know, but I'll do it. It must have made me feel some type of way,
Mm-hmm,
way
mm-hmm.
back early in my 2 years old, like maybe 2 years old.
Wow.
That way, like, come on, So I always bring up that memory because like that's like my latest, my most distant memory of living. You
Okay.
know.
Now, and I've seen you in a full leopard print cat suit
Of
strutting.
course, giving the girls what they need, baby.
Yes. So, like, when you bought that outfit or when you wear it, do you remember your aunt at
I
all?
definitely do. I remember when I look at it
That's
in my
crazy.
closet, like she passed away unfortunately, but like
Okay.
she was like one of my favorite people. And she
Mm-hmm.
was, when I tell her, she was the baddest fucking bitch.
Oh,
Like
okay.
she would not leave the house in a stiletto less than 5 inches for no reason. To go to
What?
the supermarket, to go
Yeah.
charge people for money. She
Uh-huh.
was like everywhere she went, she had a different outfit. She never looked the same. She never wore the same thing. She always had a different hair color, giving the girls
Wow.
attitude, hip, like everything.
Everything.
I was obsessed. She was everything. Like I was just like obsessed with her. Like,
That's
but yeah, I think
awesome.
of her every single time I see like that cat suit. It's actually, I just actually put it on the on my closet because I wore it the other day.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I wore it to this photo shoot the other day. I was like, oh, I should wear this. And
Wow.
yeah,
Now, you said earlier you made a little joke about the LGBTQIA plus, and then you
yeah,
added some other letters, so you might get in trouble for that.
yeah.
But where do you fall under that umbrella?
So like, I've had this discussion with a couple of my friends that I really like feel more vulnerable with, and
Mm-hmm.
like actually asking the question of like how they see me as opposed to what I see myself as.
Okay.
And there was so many different terminologies that I did not even know existed under
Wow.
just the T umbrella. And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's so crazy.
Mm.
Because like there's like my friend, basically what she was saying, she was like, well, you're basically trans feminine. I don't ever see you leave the house in like any type, like you're always in a wig, like you're always in a look, like you never leave the house look, like even when you work out, you wear a wig. So like you're
Mm-hmm.
trans femme, like you present yourself as a feminine
Mm-hmm.
entity, so you would be considered trans femme. And I was like,
Okay.
wow, do people know this? Because I have never heard this before. And I look, and
Wow.
she sent me the whole like link, and I was like, wow, I am. This is
Mm-hmm.
literally what I am. I'm trans femme, but I'm not. It's not that I want to become a woman. It's just like I
Mm-hmm.
feel more comfortable in my femininity as
Nice.
as a man, or as a, like a
Mm-hmm.
gendered, whatever my birth biological gender was, or
Okay.
is. So I'm like, I'm down with that.
And a lot of people I know, because I've heard it and I've, said things myself about the whole, all the letters, right?
Yeah,
And at first it's like, oh my gosh, this is just too much, right? But it's really not, because
it's really not.
yeah, because that's just being respectful and understanding of people, and they're growing and learning themselves, right? To say, yes,
Yeah,
I am gay, I am a lesbian, I am trans, I'm a transgender man or woman. And for people on the outside to mock that is kind of like getting old now, right?
yeah.
And
It's always because like now it just kind of rolls off the tongue. And I know I remember like the first time I had to say it, I was like, well, we got so many letters,
mm-hmm,
because I never really categorize myself in anything. And
mm-hmm.
anything I do, I never really do. I kind of just do my own thing. But I
Okay.
know but I know that's why I always ask outwardly to say what they see, and what anyone sees, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, because I'm also learning about like gender identity myself every day. I just like what it is, like I just do how I feel, and I just forget that other people see me too, kind of thing. So I never like wanted to like put myself in like any type of category. Like that never
Mm-hmm.
really was the matter for me. But now that I know how important that is to the community as a whole, which is, and it's really just because that's how the outside understands who they're talking to, and how to really just like talk to us,
Mm.
instead of it being like, because like as a community, we're kind of like, we know who we're shading, we know who we're being like, yes girl, even though their pronouns are boy or he and him,
Mm-hmm.
but they know where it's coming from. But like when it's coming from someone in the outside of the LGBTQIA
Yeah.
plus, not, it doesn't hit the same. It doesn't read the same. You're not, it's like a white person calling someone the N-word.
Right.
It's like, now, so now you're mocking me. Now you're saying something because you saw me in a dress, but you saw that I have a beard, so you want to call me him.
Right.
And what you're saying is you see a boy in a dress when I'm just telling you that this is who I am. The clothes has nothing to do with the fact that I will rock your shit.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute.
No, I'm kidding.
You are a mess.
I am a mess.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Just to finish up with your childhood, and family life, how do you think your life would be different if you didn't have that much support from everyone in your family?
Ooh, this is a hard question. Because like I've never thought of it because I'm like, yeah, right.
You've always been supported, right?
Yeah, like I've been questioned, but always supported. Like I've always had a good friend group that like even I didn't even have to come out to most of my friends. Like they just kind of like knew. Or like I would like one day I went to lunch with some of them and they're like I was in a crop top and they were like, okay, we see it. And then we kept going about our day. So like I feel like it's so different for me. Like I feel when you're in a different like state per se, like in the middle of America, like that, it's such a major more part. But I feel like in New York, it's so much easier to find like an outside family if you don't have one already that's supportive of you. So I feel like I created that in my life, even as me having a whole family that like really loves and supports the living shit out of me. I have also like an extended family that would ride or die for me as well, and I would do the same for it.
I didn't even take into consideration the fact that you are in New York and, you know, your experience is going to be different from someone, say, in Wisconsin or Oklahoma. So, you know, it's not monolithic. We're not all the same because New York, yes, you're going to have a lot of support from the community and everyone versus somewhere more conservative I didn't take that into consideration.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that all the time because like my DMs are usually filled with people that live in either different countries where like oppression is like I've had people from like the Middle East that like DM me. They're like, "Oh my God, you're so brave. I wish I could like be more free like you. I live vicariously through you. Like you have no idea how your freedom makes me feel like I need to leave this place and all these things." And I'm like, oh my God, like I literally am just like melted. And like I always answer to like DMs like that because I'm just like, that hurts. Like I can't even imagine being in that position.
Yeah.
So this is why I don't take what I have for granted in any aspect of my life. Like I go off. I'm gonna leave my house looking cunt every day because like there's people that really need, like there's people that don't have that, and I'm like, I'm here just like sitting on all this quote unquote freedom because I know that that's a very loose word in America.
Yes.
But I still have the ability to do so without being shot the moment that I walk out of my door.
That's serious because like you said, people from other countries appreciate you and look at you like, I wish I had what, you know, you have.
Yeah.
I would consider the way people from other countries look at you may think that you're privileged.
Yeah. And that's another, and I always like, I go into very like deep holes about that kind of stuff in my head. Like whenever I'm in bed, that's my lullaby, going into deep holes about in my head. I don't research nothing. I sit there on my phone as I scroll and I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I went to Dubai because someone wanted to take me there and have a good time. And all of a sudden they see me at the airport. Like, what am I going to do? And then I start like thinking about like, oh, well, you know, this guy like hit me up about like, you know, you will be killed because, you know, you can't look the way you do. And I was like, well, I'm not changing for nobody, so I'm not going over there. Yeah, whatever. But like, I always feel like if you think about it, like that privilege that we have here, like I say privilege loosely, mostly because like there's still a lot of like oppression around it. But like it's how you grab it. And I can say how you grab it for like people like in New York or LA or like big cities, but like, if you're in rural Wisconsin or Oklahoma or even Texas, that privilege is not really a privilege anymore. Like it still becomes like you have a target on your back.
Wow.
So it's like you could do it. Go ahead. Yeah. That might be it for you.
It's not going to be the same response.
It's not the same response. But like in New York, it's like it's almost becoming mundane. I feel like because like. I remember like leaving my house and like the guys were like, "Oh my God, not this bitch leaving the house in a thong." And now it's just like, "Oh, that's about whatever." It's just like it's just like I don't exist anymore. I was like, I love that. That's
Yeah.
literally why I do this. It's just that so you know that I exist and I can coexist around
Yeah.
each and every one of you, and I'm not even looking your way. Y'all the one looking at me.
Right.
So check that.
Yes, we
Okay.
need to coexist. That I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I follow you on social media, and I'm telling you, if you're literally not running the streets of New York, like in heels, literally, you'll be running
Literally.
literally, okay? So running the streets of New York,
Running.
ripping the wig off and jumping into the
Jumping
ocean.
That's me. That is me.
You know, that's what I'm used to seeing. But as of late, as the climate in the country has changed, some of your posts have also changed. And I'm talking about justice for Breonna Taylor, justice for George Floyd, justice for everyone. You're at protests, Black Lives Matter. I'm seeing that,
Yes.
right? And
Absolutely.
so I was looking on your page and I saw you in a shirt that said promote homosexuality. Promote homosexuality. What's that all about?
It's a blatant message of like representation. That's really what it means. It's a blatant representation slogan of like we here, we're coming, we're gonna be around you. Just we're not targeting you. We're not like plotting against you. We just need you to know that we're here because you seem to forget. We are here, respect.
Yeah.
Like I'm not hiding it. I'm promoting it.
Right.
I am homosexual. I am
Mhm.
queer. I am trans. I am, you know,
Right.
like we all represent each other. Like, and that's what I love because I've seen so many like even cis people like wear it, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
say it, say
Mhm.
it loud for us.
Yes.
We tired of screaming. We already got our own shit going on, and y'all over here trying to get on our business, but we don't even know what our business is yet.
You know, I did want to touch on religion because I
Yeah,
know
for
that
sure.
that is a big factor when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community. It's a lot, right? And
Yeah.
from praying the gay away, conversion therapy, and all of these things, it's like how do you feel when, you know, someone says, oh, God doesn't like this or God doesn't like that, or I can help you change. I can, you know, recommend this therapy, or
Yeah.
like, what do you say to that?
I literally roll my eyes. I just like I honestly I want to say that I'm honestly like the best person at it. I can ignore the shit out of anything. Like I could
Okay.
just let it roll over. It doesn't like I don't feel like it affects me until you touch it. So like if you're saying something, okay, you're entitled to your opinion because that's your kind. So
Right.
like so let's just respect that. Like that's fine. Say whatever you gotta say. Like I'm not
Yeah.
ashamed. Like you're literally calling me a gay person, and thank you. Hi, yes, I like men. Yes, I do have a penis myself too. Is there any problem? Like what's the tea? But other than that, like I like it would have to be someone that's extremely aggressive or like being oppressive to someone that's actually like really taking that in and really making them feel bad about themselves for me to react.
Right. And I was thinking about that too, because it's like they're saying, and I'm not even going to say they, because I'm a Christian, and the church was very condemning of the homosexual lifestyle.
Yeah.
And things of that nature. So I thought I have to condemn it too. But as as you live, you learn. And my children actually had a play date with their friends, and I hadn't met their parents yet. And when I eventually met the parents, it was two moms.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so
Yeah.
I was able to change my way of thinking. I realized they're just like me. They're just like any other household. Same-sex parents raise amazing children. And I think that is such a big misconception. I didn't wake up saying, I want to be straight. I want to like men. That's just the way I was
Literally.
born, right? So
yeah.
why is it so hard for us as a people to believe that people that are gay or lesbian, trans, whatever, woke up the same way, knowing what they wanted, knowing what they like?
And how are you in the position to tell me what I feel like? Like what you're telling me is what you think I should feel like, not what I feel like. And when I'm telling you what I feel like, you're not listening because you don't care. You just want to see what you deem normal, what you deem God's grace.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it. This is God's grace. Trans women are God's grace. Trans men are God's grace. Like like the whole LGBTQIA plus is God's grace.
Right.
Because without that factor, then you would have to question yourself. What the problem is, I feel like, is that like whenever they're like fixated, and even though they've lived and they've learned and they've had coexisted with people in the LGBTQIA, they also feel like if they can't help you see some sort of light, then maybe there's something wrong with them, and there cannot be something wrong with them. So like it has to be us, because you can't deal with the fact that we are all different.
Right.
We are all different in every single way. And I always take it back, because I had this realization about like something that I learned in school, in high school, and I'm like, now that I think about it, civilization was built on like oppression. So like someone needs to feel oppressed in order for something to work out for them. And like literally, that's literally how the world seems to be built since BC. If somebody's not down, somebody else has to be down. Because then like who's gonna be on top? Nobody, because we're all gonna be equal, and they're scared of that.
Oh,
they're petrified. That's why I've been so pro on my Instagram about like Black Lives Matter and
absolutely
Trans Lives Matter, and making sure that the people that are being oppressed right now feel like they're being seen, being heard. Like, I'm showing up for you. Like, even if it's just me, I'm here. What's good? Like, what do you need? Yeah, that's why I've been more like vocal towards that side, because I know I'm a very like dark comedy queen, very very whole comedy, you know. But but like at the end of the day, I know that like there's people out there suffering for no real reason, except that someone does not feel comfortable with themselves, so they need to inflict harm on others to make themselves feel better about themselves.
It's sad, you know, but that, like you said, that's the world we live in and have lived in. This great America, right?
Great America.
Okay.
The fabulous America.
Right. Now, people often will say, like, as far as, like I said, representation matters, right? So when you turn on the TV, we're going to see gay couples, we're going to see trans women, we're going to see teenagers that are coming out to their family members on these TV shows. People in our society often fight against that. They say, I don't want my kid to see that. I don't want them to be influenced, as if it's contagious, right?
Right.
I woke up straight. I mean, if I would have woke up a lesbian and me liking women, then that it's just there. So no matter what I see on TV, now others may, you know, people listening may think that, no, Trisha, if they see it, they're going to want to do it. No, because I've seen women kiss on TV, and I've never wanted to kiss a woman. And just like a little girl who could be watching TV, who knows in herself that, you know, she likes girls, if she sees a man and a woman kissing, she's never going to want that.
Right.
So it's like, how do you feel when people say things like it's contagious?
It's kind of like a bizarre thing, because like I'm trying to think about like things that are exposed on TV that are not sex related that I've never wanted to do. You know, like because I saw Beyonce throw herself down the stairs, I don't think I'm going to do that. And I did see her throw herself down the stairs. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kidding, but like I think it's very like it's important to understand that like that's when that's a moment where the kid would know, so this is like it because it could go so many different ways. It could be like, oh, that's normal, not for me, but that's normal. Like I've seen it before. Like there's two dads kissing. Oh yeah, there's two guys kissing. There's two girls kissing. Yeah, that's fine. You know, not for me, but that's like so that's how you normalize it. Seeing that as a gay person would be like, wow. So maybe I do have a chance to like come out to my parents and not feel ashamed of it. Exactly. Or like maybe I'll put the show on and see what they think, and then I'll see like if I finally build the courage to actually come out to them and say something and say that I'm gay or lesbian or whatever that I'm feeling at the moment. When kids see that, they don't automatically assume that their mind does not work like an adult mind. So some of these families realizes that like just because you saw it and you thought that way, your kid is just seeing it and he's probably gonna look at you and be like, why did that boy kiss that boy, mommy? Because mommy and daddy kiss. So for them it's a mommy and daddy situation, and then they're trying to connect it to what you have to what they have, and then you explain to them however best way you can, right? Unless you're an ignorant being, that you know they love each other. You know, mommy and daddy love each other, but you know, those two people like each other, so they kiss. You know, that is so easy to say. Like that take like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
And then the older they get, like it becomes a little more normal to them, where like even if they don't want to, like they will know that they don't want to, that's not what they want, because there's not another girl that she feels like she wants to kiss, and there's not another boy that he feels like he needs to kiss at like 12, 13, whenever you start like going through puberty, then that's like, it's already something that's instilled in people. Like it's not, it's, I don't even, it needs to be proven somehow, because it's in the DNA like it has to be, because like I don't remember a moment where I ever felt like quote unquote straight, whatever that means. Never. You know, I just knew what I liked, and I just let it develop on its own. I never asked any questions. I didn't even have the chance to see somebody man on man kiss on TV until I was probably like 16, 17, and I had already done it. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. This doesn't mean anything, you know.
I think that representation TV, it's very important, and I'm proud of where I am today as far as the LGBTQIA plus community, because I wasn't always aware, right?
Yeah.
But once I became aware, I made the decision to, you know, if I'm around friends and we're having a conversation about the LGBTQIA plus community, I'm gonna, if someone's making a joke about it, or, you know, I'm just gonna make sure I advocate and say the right thing instead of just laughing along, right? You know, like I said, I've become more aware, like as far as my children and the two moms that we became friends with, they are like two of my most favorite people. So if I would have allowed my own beliefs, quote unquote beliefs, to hinder that relationship, you know, I would be missing out on, you know, a good friendship. So it's sad, and I'm not going to act like I've always been like this. And I just challenge everyone who listens to kind of just really listen. Listen to what you're saying, listen to what, you know, read some articles, do some research, because the more we're aware, I think the better the world in general, you know, will be. So now I want to move into, and I'm not going to lie, these questions that I'm about to ask, like Cardi B said, I need questions. I need questions. Okay. Transphobia. Now, I don't know if I should ask you what it is first, or kind of give you my take and what I have questions about. How do you think I should?
Yeah, give me your take first.
Okay. The tweet that I saw, it said, not wanting to date trans women stem from y'all not viewing them as real women. So yes, your preference is transphobic. Now, when I saw that, I kind of thought that was a bit harsh, because as a trans woman, you identify as such, right? And that's accepted and that's respected. But then let's say like a straight man, if he doesn't know that, is it fair to say, like, if he finds out, oh, dang, you know, you're a trans woman, is it fair to call him transphobic? Like, I that's what I'm not understanding, that whole aspect.
That I'm not very well versed on, but I will say that, think of it like, this is how I would think of it. Like, if you are having an attraction to someone and all of a sudden you found out what they were biologically by whatever terms, and you decide to kind of like not do it just based on that, the preference, I would say, is transphobic. But like I wouldn't, like, I feel like that's like the least, like, not like blatant transphobia.
Because my thing would be, maybe he just wouldn't like that, right?
Yeah.
And so finding that out, you know, and like you said, a lot of trans women have been murdered. And I started thinking, like, is it because they're not revealing to men that they are trans? Because I saw an article where a trans woman said that she does not tell men that she's trans. So I'm just wondering, how does that work? Because if a man thinks that he's with, and you know, you might have to correct
woman.
cis woman. So if a man thinks that he's with a cis woman, but really she's a trans woman, I feel like the blame or something is being put on these straight men who find themselves in these situations. So just help me to understand that.
The best way I feel like I can, because the women, like, they are women, like, you know, so I just, so that's my point of view in it. So I feel like they are women.
Right.
So I will say that for instance, there's this man in my DMs that DM me literally like 20 minutes before I was supposed to get on call. And I was like, what? And he was saying that he's a straight man, but thinks that I'm a beautiful woman. I was like, this is a little weird, because I wouldn't call myself a woman, but like, that's still very like, and then he started going off on something about like how I can't believe a straight man would not find you beautiful. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to say to that. Like, because I was like in a rush. I was like, I just kind of he's on red right now. I'm sorry, guys. But I just think that like there are so many different situations where I've heard from experiences of others that like these men, and even my own experience, that these men view us as women. So like, and like that's how they would. But there's men that probably don't know, or really care about like how someone was born and how they, you know, they transformed and transition into like womanhood and everything. And I just feel like it's just such a touchy subject, because like I mean, I can't tell the guy that he's like not entitled to feel some type of way, but I'm entitled to tell you that you don't have to act a certain type of way. Like the way that you react, it's really what comes across as like that's where the transphobicness comes from, because like you're reacting like either you want to kill them, you want to hit them, like you feel betrayed, so you want to like you kind of want to harm them somehow, because like now you feel like your manhood is being taken away for whatever fucking reason, which makes absolutely no sense. These women are women, and these women are viewed as women by other men. So a lot of these women don't know that these men are gonna like that these men don't see them the way that other men see them. So it's such a tricky like conversation to have, because like I feel like everyone's like answer to this will be very, very, very different. Like super different. Yeah. Because like it's just like based on experience. Like if I have a guy in my DMs that literally saw me up close with this beard and was just like, you're a beautiful woman, and I'm like, but wait. Yeah. Like, and not taking away from anything. I'm just like, I was just kind of like startled, because the other day that happened to me too outside. This guy was like trying to holler at me, and I had my mask on, and then he was like, "You're such a beautiful woman, whatever." And then we like exchanged number. We were talking, and then he asked me to send him a photo, so I do, and he's like, "Why do you have a mustache?" I've never dated. I was like, "What?" I was like, "You literally picked me off the street." I've never, dated a trans woman. I like women only, but I think you're beautiful without the beard. And I was like, well, I think you ugly, period. So bye. Like,
wait a minute.
So like, I just feel like it's all about how it's being received and how the man reacts to it. Because like, if a guy really feels so strongly about it, and like, even like, for instance, like if there was some sort of relationship that was established with them already, and then he finds out like 3 or 4 months in, like I feel that like I don't like that would feel like betrayal for some men. And like I don't know if it's like I don't have the correct answer to say like the woman should have said something before or not, because like if I feel like I'm a woman, I'm gonna say I'm a woman. You take it how you want to take it, right? Like because there's some times where you just kind of like know it, you know it. And if you're attracted to me and you've been attracted to me this 3 whole months, and you haven't said anything, and we've been doing all sorts of things together, and you're not like bringing anything up, you're clearly attracted to me. So like what, like you're building things to me for me. So like, what's the problem then? Like, why are you so mad that you're in love with a trans woman out of nowhere? How did that just switch to like yes to no? Like, and I like part of me gets the fact, but I still feel like there's some sort of like transphobia behind it. It's I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it, because it's just such a vast.
Our society is very heteronormative. So it's like, this is what we've known for a long time. So to be presented with, I think in the world that we're living in now, it's becoming, like you said, more normal. You want to normalize it. And I feel like it's happening very slowly at a snail's pace, but it's happening.
Yeah.
right? And I think the more conversations we have, the more support the LGBTQIA plus community gets, I think it's going to get better.
I think so too, and I feel obviously it's definitely moving in a forward direction, and I think that
Yes.
like it also coming so much from like the youth that is it's so excited to like really just want to grow up to finally be their best self at like 25,
Yes.
but they're like 16 at this March is 18, like 20. I met this like one, I think he's like 21 or 20, or I think he's 20, and
Mm.
he like oh he's, or they are always at these marches, and they like have speeches, and like they've invited me, but like I have like stage fright when it comes to like speaking, because I always feel like I'm either gonna say something wrong, or like
Uh-huh.
my bilingualness, like even dancing I get nervous, like
Mm.
as a performer I get nervous, I just get nervous. I
Right,
don't know what that
right,
means, but no, but but no, I feel like the youth is also becoming such a strong voice in the movement, because they want to see better for themselves.
right. Mm-hmm.
And like some of us are like a little older, and we are just and we're fighting, we're
Mm-hmm.
joining them, and they're joining us, and they're
Yeah.
teaching us, and we're teaching them. And I feel that that's going to be what helps this movement keep going and keep going forward, and keep like spreading the awareness that that it is important to be so that people can be seen for who they are,
Mm.
and not for what you want them to be or what you want your kids to be like. It's
Yeah.
literally who they are.
Wow.
Period. No, there's like no ifs, ands, or buts. That's
Yeah.
just what it is. And
Right.
like, it's not like y'all didn't have to fight to have rights as straight people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to do nothing to be straight.
Right. Right.
Y'all just woke
That's
up and y'all were like, I have a dick, or I have a vagina. Let's do something.
right.
Like, and it was very clear what y'all were doing. For us, it was a little messier. That's why I feel like it's so hard, a lot harder for people to understand, which is why we are in these marches, which is why we're doing like these lives and these podcasts and having all these
Yes.
conversations publicly, so that people can hear this
Yes.
and
Yes.
understand this and get what they need to get from it, as a form of understanding, and as a form of, let's say, okay, are we done learning about this? Can we move forward
Can we
now?
move forward? Right.
Can we have a life now? Can we do
Right.
this now? Can you
Mm-hmm.
give me a job now?
I took a class on sexual identity, and we had to watch a documentary called Outrage, I think it was called, and it was about the political aspect to LGBTQIA plus, as far as how politicians go about voting for certain laws and passing certain laws when they themselves are gay.
Are gay, yeah.
Hidden, married to
Hidden.
a woman, but hooking up with a man and voting against these LGBTQIA plus laws. That's atrocious to me.
That's insane to me. It's the same kind of energy that you have in the streets when a man that's in love with a trans woman, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody finds out and feels the need to kill a trans woman. That's
Mm.
literally the same thing. Like, you are amplifying the fact that like you believe that we are lesser people because of who we are, what we like, who we like,
Mm.
who like how we dress or whatever. Like, you feel like that entitlement, and you want to keep it an oppression on it. So that's how this is going to continue to happen. How a lot of trans women are going to keep being killed. Gay
Yeah.
men are being killed. Like, like it's just like, because we are just so instilled in
Mm.
like that mentality, where like if that like the moment like things start moving forward like up there, like
Mm-hmm.
it's just like a matter of time after like everything kind of trickles down into society. And
Exactly.
it's just, and that's why we're still fighting and
Right.
posting and reposting and showing up and
Yeah.
speaking and doing all these
Because
things.
could you imagine how the world would be if politicians are openly gay, openly trans, open? And actually, I live in Pennsylvania, and we have a trans woman. She is secretary of something. I saw her doing like COVID press releases, and
That's
yeah, like she's a big dog out here, right? And
wow.
people on Facebook are like referring to her as it, you know? And yeah, and I mean, she's the one, doing these press
Wow.
conferences regarding COVID-19. And it's like, come on, like we're getting information from this woman that is detrimental to our health. Where's the respect? Right. So
Literally.
I know that as a society, we have a very long way to go. But
Yeah.
could you just
It's
imagine how, mhm.
I just and if you realize and you think about it, this works in so many different areas of life. Like, it's all the older people that are like very just like close minded, and you think about it, like the people that were having kids in the 80s and over, they're the ones that are like, a little more susceptible and a little more open to like the changes that are happening. And I'm not saying that all of them, because of course, like my parents, like, you know, they've opened up like to things that they would have never probably imagined that they had to. And I can't imagine like different like relationships. And even you like, you know, you have kids, you have like friends now that are lesbians, and you guys like get along, and you and as a woman that comes from a Christian background, I'm sure that that was some sort of, there was you know, it wasn't as easy for you to like, you know, but you learn.
Now you brought up something that I wanted to touch on, because I know that the LGBTQIA plus community is very close-knit, very supportive.
Yeah.
But I did learn in my class that the T sometimes gets some like, it's not as equal, like trans women.
So I have my own theory. I don't really, I have a theory because I'm not really completely like in the know.
Yeah.
My personal theory is, it goes back to like trans women being women. Like, some of them don't want to be part of that. And then there's also like the other side of it where like, there's like a lot of like gay, cis, white males that like don't care or don't want anything. They don't want the T in it because they're like, oh, they don't belong, it doesn't belong here, or whatever. Their reasoning, I can't even begin to imagine what it is, because it sounds ridiculous to begin with. But like I feel like there's also like a lot of trans women, like trans men, trans people in general, that don't really care to be in it, or they know that they need to be in it because they were the ones that started this whole movement for anyone to be a part of anything. So like without the T, there can't be no LG motherfucker.
Hey.
So like, I'm just saying. And that's the T on that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the T on that. Okay.
On that.
So it's like with everything else in the world. Everyone's not always going to be happy.
Exactly.
But I wanted to talk about the Black Trans Lives movement. And it may have been here before, but I just became more familiar with it when Black Lives Matter, when people were protesting and, you know, saying Black Lives Matter. Then it's like, what, Black Trans Lives?
Trans Lives Matter. Trans Lives Matter.
Yeah, so it's Black Trans Lives Matter. So was that created, and I'm not asking you like, because you're the originator, I'm just saying in general, was, you know, do you feel like that was created to bring awareness to the world or to bring awareness to our own Black community?
What I think happened was that when it's all originated was because a lot of Black trans women were already being killed, but like this year alone, all you hear is like Black POC trans women dying. I just believe that the movement originated because there were just so many Black trans people that were dying during the same times that a lot of the Black Lives Matter movement, like, you know, the George Floyd and the Breonna Taylors were dying. Not saying that no one's life's more important, but like a lot of them were just being kind of erased and not even spoken about, and no one knew about them. It took a Black trans woman to stand the fuck up, gather people together, and be like, we need to march for our rights too, because apparently not all Black Lives Matter is apparently just cis Black lives. So we're gonna start our own movement, because apparently like that part of the Black lives is just kind of like cut off. So I think that was a big push into starting this, and I'm really happy it did, because like I do believe all Black lives matter, period. So like I will go to like a straight up Black Lives Matter march as much as I would do the Black Trans Lives Matter march, because I'm just here for all Black lives.
Now it's crazy that you mentioned that, because I was, you know, again, stalking your Instagram. And I mean, I just saw this powerful picture of you. You had a sign in your hand, you had a mask on your face, and your sign read, "Stop murdering us."
Yeah.
And then on your mask, it said, BLM, Black Lives Matter. You are about all Black lives. You'll show up for everyone. When I looked at that picture, I said, Beau is willing to go out there on the streets and fight for all Black lives when some of those Black lives would never show up for him.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Honestly, it just makes you want to show up even more. During those moments, I'm just like, I am marching, even if I'm in a Black cis, Black Lives Matter period, where I'm gonna show up with my sign, looking the way that I want to look like, and
Mm.
going to respect the fact that I'm fighting for you too, even though you wouldn't do it for me.
Wow. And let me just apologize because I realized I said him. So I
Don't worry.
apologize. I don't want nobody coming
Okay.
after me. Like,
It's okay.
but I think what you said is just so important. Like, you're gonna show up regardless. It's
Because I'm
like,
not doing it for me. I'm doing it for us as a community. So I'm
listen
showing up
to
for people.
me. You just took the words out my mouth.
Oh,
I was gonna
oh,
say, it's not even about Beau. It's not about you, right? It's
yeah,
about the generations that are gonna come after. It's for
literally.
even the people that came before.
There's people that really are paying attention that have been showing up to all these protests for like about 57 years.
Mm,
So I could do this,
mm.
and I will.
We discussed a lot this evening. If there was one thing that you would want the people that are listening to take away from our conversation tonight.
If you're listening and everything seems new to you, or if things are still a little confusing, I think any situation, just lead it with openness, and you have no idea the possibilities, because at the end of the day, you have to remember that we are all here for each other as humans. We're all here together. Even you and I having this dialogue today, it's like, we've both opened up different things like about each other that we didn't know about each other, or that we just learned from each other. It's about being open. I'm always open. Like if anybody DMs me and they have like a genuine question, like I answer. Like I feel like it's my job to answer, because I'm not leaving you like empty-handed or hanging. Like
Yeah.
like if you want to know something, I know how important this could be, this information, or my point of view or my perspective into something, I would share it. And I feel like that's the case with a lot of people in the community, and they want to be understood. We want to be understood. We want to be heard. We're open for dialogue, and
Yep.
we would like for you to be open as well.
I thoroughly enjoyed, talking with you this evening. I mean,
Me too.
I learned a lot. I really appreciate your time and all of that good stuff.
Thank you. I did
Now,
too. Thank you for reaching out. I was so
yes,
excited. I was like, I love
yes,
this.
of course. And I wanted to just close with a quote that I read in a book called Untamed by Glennon Doyle Milton. You don't have to understand me to love me. And I think that's so fitting to what we just talked about, because I may not
Yes.
understand you 100%. I may not understand maybe someone's flamboyancy and why does it take all of that? I may not understand that.
Yeah.
But I can still love you and I can still support you. And I think understanding will come later.
Yeah. Even if you don't understand, like, how hard is it to respect something that even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand, you don't have to understand. It shouldn't really affect you, because it's not really like, like it's not like harming you in any way.
Not that it shouldn't affect, it doesn't affect you.
Yes, it really doesn't. You make it affect you, honestly.
Right.
You think about it. People make it affect them. Which is why
Mm-hmm.
they'll say like a comment or something. And I love that quote though, because I've heard a similar one, but like it ends with something like, "But you will respect me." It's like you don't have to love me for me, but you will respect me.
Right.
Or tolerate me, but you will respect me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
And it's all about respect. Like if we all respect each other, we can get so far.
Yes. Respect and love.
Respect and love.
Right?
I love that. Yes.
What an episode. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and I hope you did too. I hope you were able to listen with an open mind, and hopefully you take something from it that you just didn't know before, because our world is changing, and no matter your thoughts, beliefs, and things like that, we have to respect people and we have to love them. So I just hope that from this we can carry on this conversation. And if you have any more questions, you can always hit up Beau on Instagram. Her Instagram handle is Beau Jangless, and that's BeauJangless. Again, it's Beau Jangless, BeauJangless. And you will not be disappointed following her page. I thoroughly enjoy seeing everything she posts. Well, that wraps up another episode, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, I ask that you do so right now by hitting that subscribe button if you're on Apple. If you're on Spotify, you can hit follow. And if you're on Anchor, I think you can hit that star. I haven't quite figured out Anchor yet, but Please subscribe and please spread the word. Tell a neighbor, tell a coworker, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell somebody. Just spread it, and help me grow my listening base. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen to my podcast, and all the feedback that I'm getting. I ask that you continue to send it because it's very encouraging. This is it, guys. Another one in the books. So until next time, walk good. Translation, be safe.
Started from the bottom, look where we end up, on top like Pac. All eyes on us, blessings. Count my blessings. No more worries, no more stressing. No more stressing. With every loss there comes a lesson. Lord, all I'm asking is protection. Count my blessings. I wake up and count my blessings.